beginning of the semester. Before this, I was handling two groups of tutorials, CS2644A and also for B. But Alhamdulillah, Dr. Aina is here to assist us. So Dr. Aina will be taking over CS2644B for tutorial. But this week, yeah, Dr. Aina, um, I
Yes.
will still be we'll do it together because I have promised the students to give the feedback based on their presentation last week. Okay, last week we did a presentation for their proposal. Yeah. So
Mm.
I will still be around for this week. Okay, we'll do it together. We'll go through the slides and I'll give comments on the slide because last week tak sempat nak comment. Last week is just merely presentation, right? I'll give the comments on the proposal and from anyway. Okay, another thing is that next week we are having the test. All right. As scheduled in the scheme of work. Inshallah next week kita akan ada test. So tentatively, it will be at this time, 2 to 4. But I will have to coordinate it with another group handled by Dr. Maslina. That takes that she's handling the CS2 for O. Yeah. So I don't know whether the timetable will coincide or not. But if it doesn't coincide, then we will have to find another common time, perhaps later in the evening. Right. So next week there will be no lecture. Just wait for my instruction on when the test will be conducted. One of the days next week. Okay, because I will have to coordinate it dengan Dr. Maslina. All right. Topics covered is until the topic that we are looking into today. Okay, is that clear? Is that very clear?
Yes, madam.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, madam.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so today we will be looking into the analysis part, yeah, on the requirements analysis, that is use case modeling. So before we go on with the analysis, okay, let's review of what you have done before this, right? We started off with the introductory part on topic 1, 2, 3 is the development life cycle methodology. Then topic 4, we started off with project management. Okay, saya akan sentuh balik tentang project management ini dalam tutorial because it relates so much on the Gantt chart that you have produced in your proposal. Right? Then the previous topic before we go into the analysis is about the requirement solicitation, right? The techniques that you can or possibly to be used during your data collection. Data collection untuk apa? Ada dua fasa of data collection with regards to your problem solving. Okay, firstly, I mean, in this context, in this class context, you are being given the problem. You are supposed to identify an organization that needs to have an online purchasing, yeah, of grocery products. That was given to you. Okay, the domain was given to you, and you will have to find an organization that needs to have the potential system, right? So what you need to identify in the first place is, of course, the first phase of the interview is for you to know, yeah, the organization, um, apa ni, tentang apa dia punya business process and whatnot. Perhaps you have been looking into the organizational chart, right? What departments are there? Kalau kedai tu a bit besar lah, but if you have chosen a smaller type of shop, then probably the departments are not explicit. Ya, mungkin dia ada 3 orang pekerja and the pekerja will be doing jobs in rotation. Okay, somebody will take care of receiving the products from the supplier. Somebody else will be arranging the products on the shelf. Remember, yeah, arranging products on the shelf also ada kaedahnya. Okay, and then somebody else will take care of the stocks of the products. So kalau the stock is depleting, then they would have to place order to the suppliers. Alright, so itu adalah antara business proses yang berlaku dalam organisasi tersebut. Now, when you are representing the business process, I have taught you on, again, the previous topic on activity diagram. Okay, so if you have forgotten about activity diagram, you better do your revision. And the notations of activity diagram, although activity diagram is similar to flow charts, there are differences, right? The activity diagram is one of the UML, one of the diagrams that you can find in UML. UML stands for Unified Modeling Language, right? And activity diagram is there to represent the business process. The major difference, there are a lot of other differences between activity diagram and flowchart, is that activity diagram may or should have swim lanes. Why am I emphasizing on swim lanes is that later on, okay, we have talked about stakeholders before, in topic 2, kita dah identify about internal and external stakeholders. So through the swim lanes of the activity diagrams, you are actually identifying who the stakeholders are and what are the roles of the stakeholders with regards to the current situation, because you need to produce two activity diagrams. The first one is to represent the current or the as is process that is done throughout the organization. And the second one, the second activity diagram, is supposed to be
All my
representing the
friends are
system
toxic.
that you are
All
proposing.
ambitionless, so
So the
good,
notations
always
are
negative.
slightly different from
Ah, aku masuk tapi
flowcharts.
aku masuk kat
Right?
phone ni. Ni
Activity
nak
diagram is
makan ni
always
masuk kat
within
PC
satu.
je.
The start and end notations are
Eh,
different, and there are other differences as well.
mana group kelas?
Okay, so
Mantap.
take
Ada
note
attendance
of
tak?
those differences, and I'm quite
Apa?
surprised that ramai yang guna pakai
Attendance,
notation
attendance.
flowcharts
Laju-laju.
instead
Sampai
of the activity
sampai
diagrams that
setengah.
have been
Dia
discussed,
open,
right?
attendance open sekejap je.
So activity diagram is
I
supposed to
bukan
be
buka sepanjang
representing the
kelas apa tu?
business process. And
Boleh je
in
set.
order
Lecture
for
boleh set.
you to produce
Dia
the
sengaja
business
nak sabotage
process, you
pelajar ni
did some
lecturer.
kind of data collection. The
Ada.
first phase of data collection. You
Aku
kena
masa ni
tahulah
tidur
kan
awal tau. Pukul 2
macam
lah.
mana
Aku
nak come up
kerja.
dengan business
Nak bangun
process
pukul
tu.
8 nak sambung.
Definitely
Because
there
ada
is
kelas
some
lah.
techniques that you have
Bangun
conducted,
pukul 10, Mat.
probably an interview with the
Kelas tak pergi.
stakeholders, probably by reading through kalau dia dah ada
Korang
website,
FYP submit lambat lagi eh?
reading through their websites or whatever
Asal kita
specimens
punya
that
kelas
you
a
may
week
have
early eh?
collected from the organization in order for you to
Kan for
understand the
chapter 1 pun
business
sama.
process. That's the first
Hari
phase.
tu.
Okay. And then,
Aku patut
okay,
submit last
in your
Friday. Dia tak
proposal
submit-submit lagi.
also, I did mention about the planning. Yeah. Yang itu you dah
SEM lah.
buat. Yeah, the first phase you dah buat sebab you nak identify the business process. The second phase is your plans on how to conduct the data collection to elicitate the requirements. Remember that there are several types, basically two types of requirements, the functional and non-functional requirements. Yeah, also we have seen in the previous topic, right? We have FERPS Plus as the acronym. So F stands for the functional requirements. URPS, usability, reliability, performance, security, and the rest, the plus. Okay. The rest, URPS plus, are meant for non-functional requirements. Okay, so how are you going to identify the functional and non-functional requirements? These are the things that you have to plan in your proposal, right? Be it through, again, interview, okay? Tak salah, dulu hari tu dah interview, this time around probably another interview to identify the requirements. Probably through, of course, another technique is through looking into similar systems that have been conducted for other organizations. And from there on, you might be proposing the similarities of functionalities to your stakeholders. Another technique is through prototype. This is another thing. I will keep on repeating this in your tutorial session nanti. Your prototype. Now, this one saya dah mention awal-awal dulu. From the very beginning of the semester. Prototype has several functions. Okay. First is about collecting requirements. Prototype can be used to collect requirements in the environment whereby your stakeholders or your respondents memang tak faham langsung tentang sistem. Tak pernah tengok langsung, which is unlikely, but probably they have used systems tapi tak sama dengan apa yang you nak buat, yang you nak propose. They are not well versed or they are not familiar to the online grocery ordering system. So what you can do is to have a simple prototype, get them to test on the prototype, and from their feedback semasa dia menggunakan prototype, based on the feedback, as they try on, they should be giving in inputs. Those inputs are the requirements. That is one technique, okay, for data collection. Now back to the types of the functions of prototype. Satu ialah untuk data collection, yeah, that occurs before analysis, yeah. Second type of prototype is for validation purposes, validating the requirements. And this is the one that you will be producing at the end of the semester, yeah, as your class project. Your prototype that you are producing is to validate the requirements that you have gathered. You are not coming up with a complete system. That is too much. Right? You boleh tengok balik dekat you punya scheme of work. Okay, the CLO number 3 tu. To validate the requirements through prototype. So your Gantt chart is supposed to reflect that the prototype that you are producing will be used for validating the requirements. Okay, itu sebenarnya yang sepatutnya ada dalam Gantt chart. Alright, you tak akan design, you tak, okay, design tu hanyalah setakat untuk kegunaan interface of the prototype, because you haven't gone into the design phase anyway. But I'll give you some brief overview of design. Ya, bila cakap pasal design ni, it includes the high level and low level design. The high level design is about the architecture of the system overall. Okay, you are producing web-based system. Web-based ni can be a server-based, can be a cloud-based. Physical server pun boleh ataupun cloud-based pun boleh. So which one? So kita tak akan pergi sampai kepada peringkat itu dalam you punya prototype presentation. And I hope that this is very clear. I don't know what you are doing behind the screen, but I really, really hope that this gets through your mind. Okay? All right, if you have questions, you better ask me. Okay, so the prototype that you will be producing is to validate requirements. Yeah, kalau tengok kepada SDLC, right, selepas fase analysis, right, you have a prototype to validate the requirements. Selepas analysis, normally you go to design. And to validate the design pun, kita boleh guna pakai prototype, tapi bukan untuk validate requirements. Yeah, but the prototype after the design has occurred is to validate the design, which means that it will see whether the the database, the security, and all that is in place. That particular prototype, right? But remember that the one that you are producing in this class is to validate the requirements. That is why you will be producing a requirements document. You will be producing that particular prototype, and the requirements document, whatever that you say in the requirements document, has to be consistent with your prototype. This is what we are looking for in your presentation. Consistency, traceability. If you say that, all right, one of the functions that you will be that you will be developing, that you will be demonstrating, is putting items in the cart, right? Put items in cart to do the online grocery shopping. Put the groceries in the cart. So where does the function of putting the items in the cart come from? Is it through your interview answers? Is it through your literature? Or is it through you observing other systems and has been agreed upon by your stakeholders? Okay, we are not just looking at the end product. We are looking at the process, whether you have gone through a correct process of delivering the end product. If the process is not clear, if the process is incorrect, most likely the end product will be incorrect too. Okay? Can I hear some voice?
Okay.
Okay? Right?
Okay, madam.
Okay. All right. Okay, so the last topic on topic 5, kita dah tengok kepada techniques of requirements elicitation. And also we have seen the two types of requirements, basically functional and non-functional. And for the non-functional requirements, ada beberapa kategori. The URPS2, usability, reliability, performance, security. Usability, reliability, performance, security, and plus. Okay, you can read about the examples of usability. For instance, yeah, you interview your stakeholders. Your stakeholder kata, okay, we want the system, yeah, to be easy to be used by any types of users, novice users ke, users yang biasa guna pakai sistem ke, it should be easy. Okay, if you encounter this kind of statement, yeah, it is a requirement statement and it falls under usability. Kenapa kita nak differentiate between functional and the URPS plus kind of thing? Because, yeah, today apa yang kita akan hasilkan dalam kita punya use case modeling, yeah, the use case diagram will be representing the functional requirements. The URPS plus will be stated, will be taken into account in the requirements document that you will be producing, but somehow there is no diagram, yeah, there is no diagram that represent the non-functional requirements. Okay, until you go, or until the developers go into the design phase, then only they will have to relook into these non-functional statements to be designed. All right, the functional requirements, what we'll be looking into today, yeah, the functional requirements will be represented through use case diagram. So we'll start off with use case modeling today. Any questions before I proceed?
No, madam.
No
Okay,
questions.
all right, boleh eh? Okay, all right. So what we will be looking into today, yeah, is about use cases and user goals, right? The use cases and CRUD and the diagrams. Okay. So this will be the learning objectives, explaining why identifying use cases is the key to defining functional requirements. Go back to the types of requirements in the previous topic, right? Then describe two techniques for identifying use cases, right? Then apply. We will only be teaching you one technique. That is the user goal. That is widely used, very easily to be used. Okay, in organizations pun banyak guna pakai user goal technique to identify use cases. Right? So you will be looking into user goal technique and you will be looking into CRUD technique. But CRUD, yeah, is not to identify use case, but to validate and refine the list of use cases. Okay. Then describe the notation and purpose of the use case diagram. You will see what the notations are. It's very easy. Orang lidi je. Okay. And the purpose for the use case diagram. And then to draw use case diagrams by actor and by subsystem. There are several ways on how we can produce use case diagrams. Yeah. Dr. Aina, you can interrupt me anytime. Yeah, don't worry.
Okay.
All right. So students, they have been exposed to two types of requirements in the previous topic. Yeah, functional and non-functional. So this topic focuses on identifying and modeling the key aspect of functional requirements, that is the use cases. Okay, so bear that in mind. It's all about functional requirements. Okay, the diagram, ya, yang kita akan tengok sekejap lagi, semua adalah tentang functional requirements. Alright. So what is use case? Okay, it is an activity that the system performs. That is why it is called the functional requirements. Yeah, what the system performs usually in response to a request by a user. So user requests something from the system, and system's response is by performing what the user wants, right? And it defines functional requirements. Okay, and analysts decompose, but I don't like the decomposition in function in use cases. Decomposition may occur in DFD. Okay, if you can recall, you have learned about DFD, data flow diagram. Functional decomposition can can occur in DFD, but avoid that. Totally avoid it in use case diagrams, right? So two techniques for identifying use cases, not limited to two, banyak lagi. Saya cuma sebutkan di sini satu user goal, satu lagi event decomposition. But event decomposition pun kita tak nak emphasize in this class. It will be nice, it will be good enough, yeah, if you can actually grasp the user goal technique. All right. And then each use case is named using verb noun. Why must a use case begin with a verb? Because it is an action. It's a verb. Perbuatan. Yeah. So the name of the use case should begin with a verb. Excuse me. Alhamdulillah. Okay. So now, what about user goal technique? Okay. Most common use industries, simple and effective. First, you have to identify all the potential categories of users of the system. Remember that we have direct users, we also have indirect users. Okay, so you may need to identify, okay, this potential system ni, the online grocery ordering ni, siapa yang akan guna pakai. Okay, so memanglah kita buat untuk customers kan. Okay, besides the customers, who else will be using the system and for what? Goal, the goal of using the system, right? So interview and ask them to describe the task the computer can help them with, which means that if we are proposing the system, okay, when we are proposing the system, okay, we should be asking the potential users, okay, why would you like to use the system for? Encik, kalau kami nak propose sistem ni kan, kalau adanya sistem ni kan, Encik nak sistem ni bantu Encik untuk buat apa ya? Right? So probably the administrator in the grocery shop may say that, oh, saya kalau ada sistem senanglah saya nak tengok kan hujung bulan ni berapa income saya, berapa saya dah keluarkan untuk modal, apa semua. That is about financial. Right? Take note of that. Because they will be using the system for that particular purpose. Okay? Ambil sahaja dulu, nanti kita akan tengok kepada scope of the system. Right? So probe further to refine the task into specific user goals. I need to ship items, track a shipment, create a return. Okay, now, before we go further, you might be encountering instances whereby users akan cakap ataupun users akan minta something yang out of scope. Contohnya, kita punya online grocery ordering tidak termasuk delivery. Okay, ordering pun tak ada, apatah lagi delivery kan, right? So kalau users ada yang minta tentang delivery, please explain to them that delivery will be out of scope. Untuk sistem ini, kita hanya fokus kepada ordering. That is purchasing. Alright, ordering and purchasing. Right. So what are the specific stats for user goal? Number one, identify all the potential users for the new system. All right. Then classify the potential users in terms of their functional role. Okay, probably your respondent is not that big. So mungkin apa ni, jack of all trade, one person. Dia lah buat shipping, dia lah buat marketing, dia lah buat promotion, kemungkinan. Tapi you jangan nanti ya dekat dalam use case diagram, jangan letak nama orang yang you interview sebagai respondent tu. You have to put their role. One person may be playing more than one role. Okay. He can be the manager. He can also be the sales assistant at the same time. Kemungkinan for small setup of organization, right? Then further classify potential users by organizational level. Ini kalau again, if at a bigger kind of bigger size of organization, they have the operational management and executive. Back to my earlier lectures on the 3 levels of management, yeah, the lower level, the middle level, and the higher level, right? Because dengan adanya sistem ni ya, the different levels of management, the users from different level of management might be using the system for different kinds of purposes, right? But if
Sorry, Boss.
yes,
Sorry to interrupt, meaning that we need to identify all levels of the authentication, right?
exactly. All right,
Yes,
because
so that we not overlook on the roles that we
yeah,
have for each actors in
exactly.
each business process.
Yeah, except if the organization is a small setup. All right. If it is a small setup, selalunya dia ada satu je. Dialah manager, dialah segala-galanya. So kalau if that is the kind of setup that they are having, then probably the access level is just the same. Cumanya perbezaan of access level is between the administrator and the customer. Of course, customers cannot see certain things that belongs that is confidential to the organization, kan? Yeah. Okay, Dr. Aina.
Okay.
All right. Okay, where was I? All right. Okay, right. So for each type of user, interview them to find a list of specific goals, if applicable, right? I'm talking this not only for your class project, probably in the future when you are conducting the project, when you're working nanti ya, you kerja nanti dalam organizations, probably you'll be encountering this kind of development. So you have to be aware that you bukan interview satu level sahaja. Alright, whoever will be using the system, you kena tahu role dia dan position dia dalam organisation tersebut. Yeah. Now, create a list of primary use cases organized by type of user. Look for duplicates. Okay, we'll see this. Yeah, put this in mind. We'll do it practically. Okay, so macam mana nak buat user goal teknik ni? Okay. From your list of questions, right? From your list of questions, tengok kepada statements ni. Apa yang user nak sistem tu bantu mereka dalam the transactions. Okay. Of course, kalau you tanya customer, they want to purchase online products. Okay, right. Customer can purchase online products. Customer probably can make payment through it. Okay, whatever other functionalities from the system. Of course, sebelum nak boleh purchase, customer nak browse dulu kan products yang available in the shop. Dia tak tahu apa produk yang shops tu jual. So, probably you have to prepare a catalog for them to browse first. Customers nak tahu produk mana yang dalam promotions probably. Okay, so those are the kinds of things that you can identify by asking your respondents, what is it that you want the system to assist you in doing the transactions? Goals kan, apa tujuan you guna pakai? Okay, so the goals for the customer and goals for the stakeholders in the organization is definitely different. Yeah. Apa hal pula administrator ataupun manager tu nak beli barangan through the system? They might be doing something else. For instance, update the price of the items. Yeah. They are using the system to update price. They are using the system to promote certain kinds of items probably. Yeah. So you will have to form your questions in such a way that the questions will lead the answers, ya, yang membuatkan users ataupun your respondents express what they want the system to do for them. I believe that you have started forming the questions. Alright, so during the tutorials, nanti sepatutnya, besides giving feedback of what you have done in your presentation last week, saya juga nak tengok some questions, ya, yang relevan yang you akan tanya kepada your respondents berkenaan dengan requirements. Hari tu tanya tentang lain. The next phase will be about the requirements on the system. Ya. Okay. So selepas ni ya, these things ya. Selepas you dah list down ataupun you dah identify all the needs ataupun goals by your respondents or by the potential users, you will have to produce a list of use cases. Okay, list it down, yeah, user and the use cases, and then probably you look for duplicates with similar use case names and resolve inconsistencies. Kemungkinan ada use case yang sama yang derived from different users. Okay, for instance, let's say the shop enforce that whoever wants to purchase online kena ada account, account with this online shop, right? So bila ada account, you will have to authenticate, the login ID and the password, right? So the authentication of the password not only be used by customer yang ada account, probably by the administrators juga yang nak guna pakai sistem tu. Dia kata it's not that everybody, not every staff in this shop can use the system. Okay, so we have to have some kinds of security, kena bagi account juga kepada staff yang nak guna pakai sistem ni. Right? So, customer kata, okay, kena login. Yang administrator kata authentication. Benda yang sama. Okay, benda yang sama. So, you will have to resolve this inconsistency by having one use case, that is available, that is able to be used by both parties. All right? Then you go on to the list of use cases, ensure that there is no duplication for each type of interested stakeholders. So you have one box untuk untuk customer, another box untuk let's say manager, ataupun kalau ada 3 direct users to the system, then you have another box for another one lah, based on who are the stakeholders that you have identified earlier on. Okay, boleh? You good?
Boleh, madam.
Yeah.
Okay.
Boleh, Madam.
Kejap ya. Take 5 sekejap. Saya kena tukar sebab saya pinjam headphone anak saya, dia ada kelas. Okay, kejap Okay, sorry. She's more advanced. Dia dah cast dekat TV. Okay. Tak apa. Okay, I think I'll draw this. Sekejap ya. Get this canvas working. Right. Okay. Okay, so you may have one box. This is meant for customer. And the list of use cases. One box probably for manager. And the list of use cases by manager. And another box probably kalau ada. Okay. For the, who else do you have? Come on. Siapa lagi stakeholder you dah identify? Probably administrator. Okay. So you write down all the use cases that you have identified for each of the stakeholders yang you interview. Right? That's the first thing. Then, itu adalah melalui user goal. Right? This is the user goal. From the answers that you have gained, out of you conducting the interview perhaps, or whatever techniques that you use, you dah analyze, okay, macam saya tunjuk kat statement tu tadi. So you write down all the use cases yang berkenaan dengan stakeholder tersebut. Okay. Now, what do you do next? It doesn't stop there. Okay. Then you go to the CRUD technique. What is CRUD? CRUD means create, read, update, and delete. This is introduced often in database contexts, and the technique is to validate, refine, or cross-check use cases. And it is not for primary identifying use cases. So macam mana CRUD ni? So for you to conduct the CRUD technique for the analysis, first thing you will have to know what are
Madam,
Yes.
suara madam macam robot. Macam
robot.
Ah.
Robot pula. Sekejap. Maybe, is it because of the canvas? Okay, saya tutup canvas sekejap. Okay, is it better? Listening to me?
masih ada lagi sikit.
Masih ada lagi. What do I do with it?
Kita tak ada tank tu.
Dia macam berbising je macam tu, tapi okey lah. Boleh je dengar.
Boleh dengar ya? Okay. Alright. Okay, so next step is to conduct the CRUD technique. So in order for you to conduct the CRUD technique, you kena pastikan ataupun you try to figure out what are the potential domains that will occur in the system. Yang ini kena brainstorm. Probably in your group, team members pernah ada experience in developing an online grocery system, atau you boleh tengok dekat you punya dekat literatures, those who have developed online ordering system, grocery system, what are the potential domains? Domain ni apa? You dah belajar ERD kan? Okay. Kita akan pergi kepada topik tu. Tapi sebelum tu, untuk crude teknik ni, you kena brainstorm dulu apa dia domains ataupun apa dia entity yang possibly exist in the system that you will be developing. Okay, so let's brainstorm. Apa potential domains yang mungkin ada? Yang bukan, yang sememangnya sepatutnya ada. Products, alright. Selain daripada products,
Customer.
Sebab tadi kata nak ada account kan?
Ha.
Okay. So, okay, ini yang tadi right. So, ada products. Let me just write down. Alamak. Saya tak tukar screen lagi sekejap ya. Saya list dulu. Products, customer, what else?
Staff or manager.
Okay, tak apa. Nanti kita check dulu. Perlu ke tidak. Okay, apa lagi?
Payment.
List down dulu ya. Ini macam you buat brainstorm ya. This one has to be done in your team. Okay. Ni yang susah ni sebab saya nak kalau dekat kelas tu penuh whiteboard.
Maybe we can add supplier.
Okay. Property supplier. Okay, katakanlah. You see my canvas now?
Yes.
Alright. Okay, you can see the canvas. Alright. So, these are potentially among the domains. Okay, dalam sistem yang you akan propose. Right. Satu yang amat sure to have is of course the products lah. Kalau tak ada products nak beli apa kan? Okay. So, for products, okay, you run the CRUD on the products. Maknanya, create products, update, view or read, and delete. Okay. Contoh. Untuk ni You see my canvas ya? Suara tak robot lagi ke? Is it clear? Please follow me closely. This is analysis. It's very important. Okay. So, you tengok dekat domain products and you run you run CRUD on the product. So, create, update, read and delete. To create product information, to update product information, to read product information, to delete product information. Selalunya ini adalah tugas siapa?
Admin.
Admin. Okay? Kita assume it's admin. Right? Admin. So, kalau you kata it is the admin's task, you tengok balik dekat the earlier list ni, earlier list yang you dah buat ni, ada tak use case yang bernama create product information, update product information, read product information or delete product information? Dah ada ke belum out of this? Kalau belum ada, then you have to add in. Faham? On top of the use cases that you have identified through the user goal, now you have to run CRUD on each of the domains that you have identified and then check balik dengan senarai yang sebelum ni. Kalau belum ada lagi this one, the CRUDs on the domains, then you have to add in those use cases ya, to the relevant user. Faham? Contoh macam payment. Okay. Payment kalau crude kan. You don't say you create payment lah. You make payment. Okay. Who makes the payment? Customer. Right? So you tengok dekat sini. Use case make payment dah ada ke belum? Kalau belum, you add in. Okay. Tapi yang crucial adalah bahagian delete. To delete information from the system, you can't simply say we delete it because of crude. You kena justify ataupun you kena confirm dengan you punya respondent. Faham tak? It goes the same contohnya customer. You run crude on the customer. Yeah? Create customer account. Okay, read or view customer account, update customer account, delete customer account. Whose tasks are this? If you are saying that the customers can do it by themselves, then you check against customer kat sini. Dah ada atau tidak dia punya use cases dia. Okay. That is how you identify use cases. Ya. Satu, melalui user goal technique. Satu, you refine it through crude. Any question? So far so good?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, madam.
Okay. Right. So crude macam inilah ya. Sama juga, cuma saya tak buat kotak yang tadi sebab for each of the domain that we have identified, you have to do this. You have to identify the functions, ya. And then verify use cases. Mana use cases yang you check against the initial list belum ada, then you add into the list. Kalau dah ada, then tak payah add in lah. Ataupun kalau nama dia tak sama tapi functionality dia sama. So you resolve on the inconsistency of name. Okay? Alright. So, saya dah ringkaskan semua tentang crude technique steps. Ya, through my explanation tadi, all this have been mentioned. Ya, crude technique steps ni dah ada. Okay. Then, use cases and brief descriptions. For all the use cases that you have listed in the box tu tadi, dalam canvas saya tadi, ya, you need to produce its brief description. Ya, bukan setakat nama. Tengok tadi kita dah kata bahawa nama use case must begin with a verb because it is an action. Right? And it has to come with brief use case description. So yang ini nanti saya akan bagi template untuk you fill up all the use cases that you have found. Okay. I would like to call it as surat beranak use cases ni. Okay, sebab dalam template tu ada siapa actors dia, apa use cases ni buat, apa dia punya flow of events. Those are the things yang I will go into very detail. Okay, buat masa ni, you have to know first, yeah, the description of the use cases that you have identified. Secara ringkas, itu namanya the brief. You know who the actors are. So how to conduct it briefly. Right. Next is to produce the diagram, the use case diagram. Right. So use case diagram is the second diagram, the second UML diagram they introduced in this class. The first one was activity diagram. Okay. This is a model to graphically show use cases and their relationships to actors. Apa maksud dia use cases? Apa maksud dia actors? Use cases are the functional requirements. Actors are the roles associated to the relevant use cases. Okay. So actor is the UML name for the end user, direct end user, and automation boundary. This is the boundary between the computerized portion of the application and the users who operate the application. So kat sini adalah notation, contoh notation. So we have this. This is what we call as the actor, the stickman here. Yeah, shipping clerk. And this is the use case, ship items. Yeah. And this is the automation boundary dalam kotak ni. So use cases have to be in the automation boundary. And the actors are outside the boundary. Okay, so this is the description of each of the notation. Yeah, actor is a stick figure, usually meaning an actual person using the system, but not necessarily a person, depending on the system that we are developing. If the system is a real-time embedded kind of system, the actor is not necessarily a human. It could be another device, it could be a sensor, yeah, sometimes it could be a printer in instances whereby printing is the core thing to do, right? Then the association between actor and use case, yeah, this is connecting line to show which actors participate in use case and the automation boundary, right? Very simple notation. It's a very high level description of functional requirements that should be understood even by people with non-IT background. That is the intention. Kita nak, sebab this ya, diagram ni bukan sahaja dibaca oleh developers. It will also be read by your stakeholders who may not be people from the IT background, but they must be able to understand. That's why kita guna pakai notation yang very simple. Yeah. Okay, so for use case diagram, ada beberapa kaedah untuk kita lukis use case diagram, right? So satu ialah draw for each subsystem, but this, yeah, I would like to remind you, this only occurs if you are developing a very, very big system. Remember the definition of system. A system may comprise of several subsystems. So kalau satu sistem besar dan ada beberapa subsystem, then we can break it down to the drawing can be broken down into several subsystems. Okay, contohnya untuk satu purchasing system yang besar. Alright, so kita ada customer account subsystem with all the functionalities untuk customer account subsystem sahaja and the relevant actors for that particular subsystem. Please listen to this carefully, right? Next, you can also have a use case separated by actors. Contohnya di sini ada 4 actors. Okay, you nak senang dibaca. So you separatekan satu diagram untuk customer, untuk actor customer and also the use cases associated to the customer. Another diagram is meant for management, okay, and the use case associated to it. Another diagram untuk store sales representative. You can have it that way too. But this is also applicable, or this is also suitable, yeah, untuk sistem yang besar. In your case, kami tak nak you ada banyak use case diagram. We only want you to have one use case diagram. Okay, your use case diagram should have all the actors. Paling
Recently,
banyak pun
an international blink
mungkin 3 atau 4 actors, right? With all the functionalities for the corresponding actors all in one diagram. Okay, contoh kat sini ya, customer ni for the sales subsystem. Okay, ini adalah functionalities yang customer boleh laksanakan melalui sistem tersebut. Melalui subsystem sales, right? Okay. Right. Ini juga melalui satu subsystem. Contohnya melalui sales subsystem, there are 2 actors, customer service representative, store sales representative. See that, yeah, there are functions that are shareable by actors. Tak semestinya satu function tu hanya untuk satu actor. Okay, there are several functions that is shareable among the actors, depending. Itu yang kita kena tengok dekat use case list tu tadi. Yeah. From the use case list, you are supposed to derive to the diagrams. Okay? Right. Break sekali lagi, please. Saya nak minum je. Okay, so far?
Yes.
So far okay.
So far okay ya? Okay. Sekejap kita sambung balik 3 suku. Sekejap je.
Did you know for the first time ever in their 6-year career, Twice just had one of their songs, Icon, banned by KBS because they say the word
It's crispy, it's creamy, it's
말처럼 보기 좋게 끝났잖니 친구치곤 예쁜 여사치는 개뿔 걔한테 지금 너를 뺏긴 거니 눈을 뚝 던져 I'm falling MIG65 I'm rolling 이 두 글자를 지워야겠지 우리 너무 미워도 I should let it go 두번 다시 널 보고 싶지 않아 XO 반쪽 같은 소리 하지마 내 반쪽 exit announcers for ya. 你我都 I should let it go. 두번다시나보고싶지않아 XO 반쪽같은 소리 하지마. 내 반쪽 이제 내 거야. 나쁜 년이라고.
All right. Azizul Aizat, are you here? Azizul? Muhammad Afif, are you here? Nurhasha Iliana, are you here? Nurin Kristina?
Yes, madam.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, can you please share what you are supposed to be doing? Ya, with regards to your class project ni ya. Apa sepatutnya you buat daripada selepas you dah identify the business process. Nurin Kristina akan dapat markah lebih. Are you okay?
Uh, identify use case.
How do you identify the use cases? Apa teknik yang kita bincangkan tadi? Iqbal, identify candidate system actors. Alright. Okay, thank you. Lepas tu,
Identify the goals.
identify requirements through user goal techniques. Okay. Right.
Okay.
Right. So you have identified the potential users. You have identified the requirements through user goal technique, and then you produce the list of use cases as how I have shown in the canvas just now. Yeah, that is through the user goal technique. Right. Then what do you do next? Orang lain pula.
Apply CRUD to each domain and the use cases.
Brilliant, Akmal. Right. So apply CRUD. What's CRUD, Akmal?
Saya jawab kan?
Okay. Sure, Amirul.
CRUD
Create, update, delete.
Aku buat
Create,
teruk
read,
bodoh.
update, delete. Okay. So, nak sebelum boleh apply CRUD tu kena buat apa dulu?
Kita kena faham dia punya use case dengan proses macam mana dia buat. Kita identify lah.
Okay, use cases, yes. But before CRUD, apa yang paling penting kita kena identify?
List down domain.
Domains. Thank
Yeah.
you, Hasif. Great. Okay. So identify the potential domains, then you run CRUD on the domains, right? So based on the CRUD tu, you kena tengok balik the earlier list that you have produced, whether the use cases are already there or otherwise you will have to add in new use cases. Okay. Right. Thank you very much. Okay. So once you have listed out all the use cases, the next thing is for you to produce the use case diagram based on the notations to the tadi ada actor, ada use cases, and there is the automation boundary. So dah ada kotak tu tadi yang macam saya buat kat canvas tu, dah tahulah use case ni belongs to which actor or which user. So it is much easier for you to draw the use case diagram. Right? So use case diagram can be represented from many perspectives. Yeah, it could be from an actor's perspective. So you have one actor and the list of use cases that is associated to the actor, or you can have it from a subsystem's perspective. But this is meant only for big systems, for huge systems. Yeah. So in your case, we want you to have just one use case diagram with all the actors and all the use cases inside it. Right? Okay, so next is about the includes relationship. What is this? Okay, so relationship between use cases. Tadi kita dah tengok association between actor dengan use case. But now there are also relationship or association between use cases. Okay, di sini ditunjukkan bahawa use cases ini, yeah, search for item, view product comments and ratings, and also view accessory combinations are associated to the field shopping cart with the stereotype of includes. Okay, so what is this? This is like a called subroutine. Arrow points to the subroutine. You biasa buat program kan? So you have the main program, and these are the subroutines. Maknanya while you are executing this main program, you are calling the subroutines. But, okay, ada different sikit. Macam mana nak baca use case ni? Ya, use case ni sebelum you boleh actually draw, when you are given some kinds of use case diagrams, you must be able to read and interpret. Ya, bukan setakat draw ya, because once you are in the working field nanti, ya, selalunya you don't directly go kepada development, terus buat development from scratch. Tak. Normally, you will be given the task to maintain previous systems. So, macam mana nak maintain previous systems? You will have to look into documents pertaining to the system. So, dalam documents tu sepatutnya adalah all these diagrams so that you know what are the functionalities inside the system. You know what the system is all about through the documentation, right? So, let's say you are being given this kind of diagram with associated notations. Okay, so how do we read this? Now, customer fill shopping carts. We know that the function that the customer can use in the system is to fill shopping cart. But before the customer can fill the shopping cart, the customer must, yeah, the word is must, compulsory. The customer must search for item, okay? The customer must view product comments and ratings, and the customer must view accessory combinations before they can fill in the shopping cart. Okay, this is what it means when use cases are associated with includes. Anyway, how many use cases are there in this diagram?
3.
How many number of use cases? 4. Yeah, jangan kata 1 ya. Dia ada 4. Semua ni pun use cases juga.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah, 4.
Aduh.
Right.
Mantap
Okay.
tu.
So again, yeah, in order for listen carefully. In order for the customer to fill shopping cart, the customer has to search for item, the customer has to view product comments and ratings, and the customer has to view accessory combinations. Then only the customer is able to fill the shopping cart. If the customer does not do one of these use cases or does not conduct any of these functions, yeah, customer tak boleh nak fill the shopping cart. This is one stereotype, yeah, association between use cases. There is another type of association. Okay, let me just draw this. Okay, saya lukis kat canvas lah ya. Subhanallah. Sabar je saya draw dulu nanti kan saya tunjuk.
Ultimate server. Semeni. Kepingin semeni. Semeni. Yang mana? Sebab apa? Dam.
Okay. This is another type of association between use case. Tadi you nampak bahawa the use cases are associated through includes kan? Kat sini tadi. The previous diagram ya, yang saya tunjuk share tadi. Okay. So includes. So kalau includes tadi saya kata bahawa it is compulsory for the customer to view products and ratings before they can fill the shopping cart. But there is another kind of stereotype association between use case. We call it as extends. Apa maksud extend di sini? It is opposite of includes. Bila extend, okay, it is optional. Maksudnya kita ignore the includes ni ya. We focus on the extends. If the association extends, maknanya the customer is able to fill the shopping cart whether he or she view products. Dia boleh nak view products ataupun dia boleh tak nak view products. Still, they can use the function fill shopping cart. Which means that if use cases are associated through extend stereotype, then it is optional to conduct the use cases yang terlibat itu. Okay, use cases yang associated to the base use case. Because this is the base use case, right? This is the base use case. So kat sini ialah di use case yang diterbitkan. So it is associated through extend. So kalau through extend, maknanya dia adalah optional. Okay, so it is optional for the customer to view products and ratings before they can fill the shopping cart. Unlike the other one tadi include, dia kena do this one first. View products and ratings before they can fill the shopping cart. Okay, clear ya? Right? Okay, let's continue with the use the steps to produce use case diagrams. Yeah, identify all stakeholders and users. Ini recap lah ya. Determine what each stakeholder or user needs to review in a use case diagram. This is from different perspective. Each subsystem for each type of user, for each type of use cases that are of interest. But in your case, just have one diagram, right? And for each potential communication needs, select the use cases and actors to show and draw the use case diagram. Okay, now for this, yeah, I believe that you have downloaded somehow. Some of you mungkin boleh pakai Microsoft Visio from Microsoft, or you can have Microsoft, it's not Microsoft, you can have Star UML, okay, or Draw.io, any tools that support UML. Okay, you can just Google tools that support UML, and then you can find the kemudahan untuk draw diagrams ya in UML. Maknanya salah satu diagram dalam UML ialah use case diagram. Previously we have seen activity diagram. So the tools that support UML, dekat situ dia ada the facility for you to draw any UML diagrams that you will be encountering. Kita dah tengok satu activity diagram, this one, second one, use case diagram. You will be seeing two more. Okay, domain class diagram as well as system sequence diagram. So basically there will be 4 diagrams that are emphasized in this class. Okay, then carefully name each of the use case diagram. Remember, it has to begin with a verb, and then note how and when the diagram should be used to review use cases with stakeholders and users. Okay, so what do you do with the diagrams? Beside the diagram itself, yeah, you will have to produce sort of documents. The one that I will be giving you as a template in this class is not the whole SRS. They call it SRS, Software Requirement Specification. We are adapting the IEEE standard, but we are not giving you the whole SRS. Okay, it is quite complicated to fill up everything. Kita cuma ambil excerpt of the SRS yang menceritakan tentang use case, which means that you need to have the use case diagram and descriptions of the use cases and the rest of the things. Yeah, I will give you the template and then I will be explaining about the template. All right. So the requirements document, or in short, they call it SRS. This is the official statement of what is required of the system developers. Okay, and should include both definition of user requirements and specification of system requirements. And okay, system developed incrementally will typically have less detail on the requirements document. So requirement specification, this is the one, yeah, SRS ni. Okay. It includes a set of use cases that describe all the interactions the users will have with the software. In addition to the use cases, SRS also contains non-functional requirements, as we have mentioned about URPS, usability, reliability, performance, and security, and the rest. Rest ni masuklah quality standards and so on. All these are included in SRS, but for the non-functional requirements, kita tak ada specific diagram. Yeah, the one yang kita tengok tadi for use case diagram is only to represent the functional requirements. Because you nampak kan, how do you derive the use case diagram? It is from the use case list. Where does the use case list come from? It comes from the answers of you asking the users what is it that they want to do with regards of the system. Apa dia nak sistem tu bantu mereka dalam melaksanakan tugas. It's the what, ya. Apa yang dia nak guna pakai sistem tu untuk melaksanakan tugas dia. So itu yang kita represent through the use case diagram. Okay, and okay, so dalam use case dalam SRS ni, these are among the things yang ada, but don't worry, we'll give you the template and I will be explaining you on how to fill up the template. Alright. So who are the users of the requirements document? Siapa yang akan guna pakai SRS ini? So first thing is of course the system customers, right? So the system customers will use the requirements document, to specify the requirements and read them to check that they meet their needs. They specify changes to the requirements. So if there is a there is a request for change of requirements, it will have to be documented, right? Then to the managers, use the requirements document to plan a bid for the system and to plan the system development process. Now, again, remember that when we talk about the SDLC in topic 3, we know that, and also topic 4, kita dah bercakap tentang cost, development cost, ya. So the development cost involve ataupun melibatkan tidak sahaja the development cost bukanlah dibayar terus, sama ada in the beginning of the project or only when the system is ready. No, there is no such thing. Okay, normally the development cost will be paid progressively. As you progress along the project, the funders will have to fork out for the payment. So macam mana kita nak tunjukkan bahawa we are progressing to the customers, because customer tak akan nampak sistem tu sampai selesai. Bila dah selesai, dah test apa semua, baru kita boleh deliver to the customer. So how do we tell the customers that we have progressed from requirements analysis? This is our deliverable. Okay, so then we move on to the design. This will be another deliverable. So one of the key deliverables out of requirements phase is to have the requirements document. So by producing this document, we are entitled to claim for some partial or progress payment from the funder. Kita tak boleh nak tunggu sistem siap lah barulah dapat payment. Susah lah macam tu kan nak maintain. Alright. So as a proof of progress, we can have this requirements document as a deliverable to show that, okay, we have progressed. These are the we have analyzed the requirements, as how you have expressed them, and we show them, okay, this is what we have found out. This is what we have produced. Okay, sebagai salah satu milestone tentang pencapaian kita, progress kita kepada funders, and they are supposed to be making payments out of our progress. Right? So we will be giving you the templates. We'll be explaining to you on how to use the templates. So apart from the requirements document itu yang saya kata, selain daripada requirements document yang you kena produce, the prototype that you will be producing is also a milestone that you use to validate the requirements. So you have the document, you have the prototype, and then when you present the prototype, you have to ensure that there is consistency of what you are writing with and also with what you are demonstrating. Alright. So dalam you punya requirements document, you will be describing, katakanlah salah satu function daripada user ialah place items in cart. Okay, place items in cart. So how does placing the items, okay, take place? Macam mana? Okay, customer views the catalog, customer browse the product, and then select the product into the cart, whatever. That one has to be described. Itu satu, described. Yeah. The other one, when you are demonstrating the prototype, the flow of your prototype has to be in accordance to what you have described in your requirements document. Is that very clear?
Clear, madam.
Yeah. Okay?
Clear, madam.
Ya, clear. Alhamdulillah. Ya. So, saya harap jangan ada lagi kekeliruan lah. Ya, semasa you present you punya prototype tu nanti. Jangan ada inconsistency yang terlampau banyak. 1-2 tu mungkin acceptable, tapi terlampau banyak tu maknanya bila you come up dengan prototype, you boleh produce you punya prototype tu, you tak refer kat mana-mana. Ikut kepala otak you sendiri, tak refer document, I don't know what you are referring to, and then you produce it. That is totally wrong. You are not following the process. Yeah, the process is that when you are constructing the prototype, you have to base on the requirements document, right? So if there are changes to the flow, then you have to change, ataupun you nak tukar something dalam prototype, make sure that you change it also in the requirements document. Okay, right? So let me just finish off the slides, right? So, right, we have seen, modeling function requirements as part of systems analysis. Ini salah satunya, use cases are functions identified, and then 2 techniques. Saya mention 2 teknik, tapi hanya satu yang kita focus on in this class, that is the user goal. We have described what user goal is. So if you haven't done the requirements gathering, you can adjust your questions accordingly so that it will lead to the answers on the users telling you why they want to use the system for. All right. So this is user goal technique, begins by identifying end users, that is called actors, and asking what specific goals they have when interacting with the system. And also, okay, brief descriptions are written for use cases. Don't worry, we'll be giving you the templates, and then there are lots of other things that you have to fill up in the templates here. The CRUD technique is to validate and refine the use cases that have been identified. So you add in, for CRUD, you can identify domain dulu, you run CRUD on it, and then you make sure that mana-mana yang tak ada lagi dalam the earlier use case list, you have to add in. Okay. And then, okay, this is about UML, use case UML diagram. So include satu lagi ialah extents, you know what they are, and variety of use case diagrams, perspectives, depending on the presentation needs of the analysis. And then requirements validation. Yeah, this concerns with demonstrating that the requirements define the system that the customer really wants. Okay, so validation again. What takes place in this validation? What is the what are the things that needs to be prepared for the validation? That is the requirements document and the prototype. So now please make sure that you understand. Please, make sure you understand that the prototype you will be producing is to validate the requirements that can be found in the requirements document. Okay. All right. Any questions?
Here. Tanya, madam. Sana nak buat yang ni kita.
This is the critical
Iqbal,
topic.
Yo.
Bagai
saya mau
analisis
join
ni.
clan anda, boleh kah?
Kita baru tengok satu.
Nak join kelas?
So
Clan.
subsequently there will be
Clan.
analysis to
Ni clan
produce
member aku yang
the
tak
domain
tahu.
class
Aku tak kenal
diagram.
seorang.
Yeah,
yeah.
and also system sequence
Aku
diagram.
masuk
That
ni
will
pun
be
aku
next
masukkan
one. Probably
dengan
after the
ID aku.
Christmas break, because next week kita
ID
akan ada
member
test.
aku lah. So member aku tu
Test
dia
will cover
macam
until
dah
today's topic.
tahun hor tinggi,
Yeah.
aku tahun hor rendah
I
sikit.
see.
Aku guna untuk donate kat aku lah.
Ada soalan?
Madam, untuk
Yeah.
test kita 2 jam
Aku dulu time sekolah lah.
Probably
Awak
1.5
join kat kelas tu.
Ni
apa
tengok
madam sekejap, madam tak dengar sangat suara
Ada
madam.
Eric,
Oh
aku
ya ke?
siapa
Tak
lagi
dengar ya? Kejap, saya tutuplah
Ada.
video. Sekejap,
Gila.
Kemungkinan sejam setengah.
Yeah.
Oh, setengah.
Ah.
Oh, dia ada lukis-lukis tak? Dia ke macam karangan dan semua?
We haven't decided. Alright.
Oh.
But of course lah, lukis-lukis karangan-karangan tu dalam final exam memang ada lah. Okay, untuk test ni
invested quite
we
a lot tu
haven't
dari
decided
dulu.
whether to put it or not.
Fokus tu farming theory tu.
Okay.
So like this one of the days kan, madam, antara Monday, Friday kan.
Yes,
But aku
yes,
minta
yes. I
completely
will have to
mixed up yet.
coordinate dengan Dr. Maslina for the group CS240. One of the
Kan
days,
tak ada
tapi next
completely
week
mixed up
tak
lah.
ada
Next week ada
lecture.
tinggal wall
Oh,
dengan
Right,
okay,
so
madam.
we can
hero lah.
use the
Ya tu.
tutorials
Aku sekarang macam
nanti,
main
ya.
saja-saja.
Sama
Bosan-bosan
ada
buka
apa
masa-masa
ni,
kelas kan ya.
a lot of things to do during tutorial. Satu, saya nak bagi feedback on the presentation. Satu lagi, kalau dah
Susah kat tu.
prepare the
Nak check
interview
yang
questions,
dah
I'd
high
like to
town hall
see
ni.
that.
Strategi
And
banyak
also,
sangat.
if you have
Tengok
questions
orang-orang
with
serang
regards
apa
to
macam
whatever
gila-gila
topic
buat.
before the test, kindly ask me during the tutorial. Or
Thousand aku
yeah,
sangat
for
dulu. Dulu aku main
B,
iPad. My father's
apa
old
ni,
iPad lah.
Dr.
So
Aina will
tak
be
ada.
with us, right?
It was so
For
senang lah. Sekarang
259,
guna phone je
then
apa.
Puan Fauziah will be with you,
Ya,
right?
dia punya nak
Tapi
letak
tak apa, nak
tu
tanya
kena
saya pun
slide
boleh.
atas bawah.
Don't worry.
Dia tu.
Okay,
Tak ada
madam.
kelas
Thank
dah
you.
sekarang.
Pukul 4 ni.
Okay guys, tak ada apa lagi dah?
Saya nak menelit sekejap. Okay, I
Yeah,
haven't
yeah,
much,
doctor.
I haven't much to say here, but I really hope that class we can work well together. Okay, and you will be able to complete this course successfully lah until the end. Smooth sailing until the end.
Ya, yang ni Zulaikha kau.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Aina, for that. Yeah, we'll be together, inshallah. Okay.
Alright.
Okay, guys. So I'll see you again in the next session. Okay, untuk besok, group 4A ya, your tutorial, and then Thursday I'll be conducting with Dr. Aina. I'll be sharing your slides with Dr. Aina, and then we can comment on that, right? Perhaps you can come up with your interview questions as well. Then kita, Dr. Aina and me can give our opinions on your questions as well, right? Thank you for being here, Dr. Aina. You have relieved me a lot.
Okay, you're most welcome.
Okay, all right. Thank you then. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, madam.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, madam. Thank you,
Ramai
madam.
terus. Lancau semua. Semua ni fake je. Madam punya lah memanggil semua orang tadi. Orang tak buat jauh pula dah.